Well, we're joined by the legal analyst and attorney Modidima Mannya. Now, he's been watching this. Mr. Mannya, good afternoon to you, and thanks for your time. We've seen all of this testimony about the crime scene and how the police handled the crime scene. And it seems, on the face of it, they didn't manage the crime scene in a perfect way. And in fact, I would say the first witness has probably said that. And yet they strongly denied tampering with the evidence at the same time. So we have the admission that it wasn't handled perfectly. We have a denial of tampering with evidence. How do you think this is sitting in the mind of the judge? Is he likely to accept the way the police managed the situation?
Yes, good afternoon, Stephen and your viewers. Look, I'm not sure where it will end up because this is the second witness, and I see that the issue of the crime scene still remains a focus, and I think it will for quite some time. You would have heard from the current witness, Sergeant Tetwa, that he has already mentioned one or two other people who may also have to give evidence if they are called. And I suppose if, for argument's sake, Makumalo were to be called, the issue of the head and the crashes and the beers and how the scene was handled, who arrived first, will still be a live issue. And I think it would probably be premature at this stage to get a sense of what impression it gives. But it remains a live, contested issue.
Of police is managing crime scenes. Maybe we've watched, too many crime dramas where we expect police to spend hours on a crime scene. I mean, in this case, one officer went to two other crime scenes on the same night. I sometimes wonder if our officers really have the time and resources to manage crime scenes properly, and that can be really important in a case like this. If you don't do it properly legally, it'll come back to bite you as a police officer.
No, certainly, and I think for a while now, not just the forensic experts, but generally police seem to be under-resourced, both in terms of human resources and other physical resources. I mean, often you hear that police couldn't respond to a complaint because they didn't have a car. And this, of course, will come back to bite us. In fact, one of the factors that probably contribute to the loss of trust and confidence in the police is the inability of the police to respond. For instance, I think both Sergeant Sia and this other one indicate that they had other crime scenes to attend to. Obviously, this is a high-intensity type of work. You need to have your full concentration. You need to have all the resources and the equipment you need. And I think it's starting to show that unless there's a way of fully resourcing the police, then we'll have serious problems. I mean, this case now is the greater part of the time now has been spent on how the crime scene was managed. It may have not been intentional to temper or what, but it just becomes clear that it has been a problem to manage that scene properly.
We still have this second docket situation. I almost don't know how to refer to it. And I realize for the moment that second docket with the other people who are seen as suspects is not a part of this case. I keep thinking that docket is going to come back at some point, that it could be important. Do you think it's going to matter in the end, or do you think we can ignore it for the moment?
Stephen, I think you recall that when Advocate Def was still there, he put it to a witness that a witness who was in the house will come and testify that somebody in the house is the one who shot Mr. Meyiwa. But today you heard from the evidence of Sergeant Tetwa that he was informed that there were two people who were seen running in the direction of the park. Now, obviously, either of the two versions is going to have to be tested. And if the version that Advocate Defo had put across prevails, then it would mean docket 375 has to be activated. And I think that speaks to what the NPA had announced, that it will consider its position once this matter has been concluded. But if the version that there were two people seen running, if it were to be proven to be true, and it points out that the current accused were involved in the crime, it may become difficult probably to pursue the 375 docket.
This case is taking so long. The NPA is under pressure for many reasons. If this all goes wrong, is this going to be is this going to explode in the NPA's face? at a time when its public credibility is absolutely vitally important?
Yes, I think, firstly, the first part of the long is the start of the criminal trial. I mean, it probably some few years now before anybody could be brought to court, to appear in court. And I think since the trial started, I wouldn't necessarily say it's long, and I think all the delays play out in the public domain, and I think everybody's aware. But I think Judge Maumela himself is on record as having indicated the efforts that he took to make sure that this trial starts in earnest and it proceeds. Obviously, there's no guarantee that when a person is brought to court, he's going to be convicted. That is the function of evidence. And there are many other cases that have taken long, that convictions were secured. There are similar cases where people were acquitted. So I'm not sure whether the acquittal would impact on the credibility of the NPA. Of course, there's public pressure to have this matter resolved as soon as possible.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Really do appreciate it. Modidima Mannya is a legal analyst and attorney. I really appreciate the time.